okay? Beautiful. Okay, how are we feeling in our bodies? Anything particular going on? Aches, pains? This might be just the thing. We'll see. There is going to be some nice kind of hip rotation in there, which is going to free up the pelvis a little bit, which might kind of come up into the sacroiliac space. So we'll see. But of course, just take it nice and easy. If you want to lie down for 60 minutes, have a great time. I'm in the mood for a good wriggle this morning. Does anyone else? Yeah, just kind of stretch out all those real sweet spots. So we'll do exactly that. We'll have a real nice slow and steady start, then we'll come into some gradual mobilizations, and then pretty much for the whole body this one. So hips, hamstrings, heart space, side body. We might even do some fun foot stuff later on. But yeah, it's going to be a real nice Sunday slow flying. All right, and you get to lie down to begin with. So when you're ready, have that slow, steady unfold along the mat. And of course, take a moment to get nice and cozy and comfortable. Beautiful. So of course, know that you can take up as much space along the mat, along the earth as you wish to, as you choose to. Just letting yourself softly settle here. Nowhere else we need to be, nothing else we need to do. We can completely, utterly land. And maybe it takes us a little bit of time to do exactly that, but of course, know that you can take up space and take up time. No matter what you have coming up later today, or of course into this new week that's patiently waiting for us. Just let it wait. Let the rest of the world wait. Arriving into this moment that is here entirely for you. And of course, maybe there are places within the body that are needing a little bit of love. Or perhaps this is the first real bit of time we've taken to actually really notice what's going on, what's present. So allow yourself to really take this moment for yourself. Take this opportunity. Make it yours. Make it exactly what you need it to be. And perhaps we have arrived into our practice for a particular reason. Maybe we brought ourselves here for a particular reason today. Or perhaps it's part of our regular routine. But whatever the case, let yourself just land. And maybe there's this kind of swirling and churning of emotion, thought, and sensation here. And know that you don't need to make sense of it all at once. Maybe just gradually pulling at one thread at a time, seeing how things steadily unravel, seeing how you softly unravel. And maybe you unravel with ease. Or maybe there's something else here. And of course, taking the time to find your anchor this morning. What it is that's going to allow you to really root into this moment, root into this space. And perhaps that is just literally this connection between your body, the mat, and the earth. Feeling those various points of contact and just dropping in. Letting the shoulder blades nestle in, letting the arms gradually get heavier and heavier. The legs become heavier and heavier. Even the fingertips and toes can relax here. And maybe we find that softness, that heaviness in the larger spaces within. Or perhaps it begins within even the tiniest of spaces. Just let the entirety of you arrive. Knowing that the entirety of you is worthy of being here. And of course, the breath, it just naturally ebbs and flows. Notice how effortlessly it does so. And of course, there might be moments where the breath feels somewhat hesitant or even slightly shaky. But see if we can consciously allow that breath to slow right down, to drag it out even more if you wish to indulge in every inhale, every exhale as much as you wish to. And with that, of course, no need to hold yourself back. No need to shy away from this. Again, you brought yourselves here for a particular reason this morning. So dive on in as much as you wish. So notice your next inhale. How the belly rises, the ribs expand, the lungs inflate. And of course, notice your next exhale. That reversal, that release, that letting go. And it's just that from here on in. One breath rolling into the next, one after the other. That's all it needs to be. So again, no matter what else is at play here, no matter what else is unfolding outside of this space, know that we can create this little oasis of calm, quiet, grounding. And perhaps here, or even if it's just for a tiny little glimpse, nothing else matters. And so maybe letting this practice be that soft, steady reminder that you have the ability to soften. You have the ability to take up space, take up time, and of course just giving yourself permission to do exactly that. So a couple more moments, couple more breaths. Slow, steady inhale. Slow, steady exhale. And again, big breath in. Big breath out. One more time, big breath in. And a big breath out. And then, of course, let's start to welcome little bits of movements back into the body. Wriggling through the fingertips and the toes. Perhaps rolling through the wrists and the ankles. And of course, you can find some small movements across that beautiful face of yours. Wriggle through the eyebrows, the nose, the lips, the cheeks, the jaw. Maybe even spending a little bit of time just letting the tongue kind of run along your top teeth, your bottom teeth. And maybe with that, there's that release out through the jaw. And you could even take a slight turn of the head from side to side here, allowing any unnecessary thoughts, anything that's occupying that precious headspace of yours, just to softly tumble out through your ears. Let the earth hold it so you no longer have to. And then perhaps gradually take the arms out just a little bit wider. Maybe it's almost like a T shape here. And then just start to softly bend into the knees and just plant the feet to the earth for a moment. Feel that sturdy support of the earth beneath you. Allow yourself to feel so rooted, so held in this moment. You don't need to hold yourself in any kind of way. Don't need to hold yourself to a certain standard or expectation. Just let yourself be held. And perhaps imagine that through the soles of the feet, or even through these various points of contact, you can soak up this goodness from the earth. Soaking up whatever is offered to you in this moment. Maybe it is this grounding, this comfort, this reassurance, these reminders. Soak it up as best as you can. Welcome it into the body. Welcome it into your very being. And in return, we just offer our commitment to this practice. We offer this open mind, this curiosity, this willingness just to exist here. And notice all that you receive just as a result of you just being. And then again, let's go ahead and have another big breath in. Big breath out. And then we're just going to welcome a little bit of movement through the pelvis to begin with. Okay, so maybe you're kind of tucking or tilting the pelvis forwards and then back, maybe even side to side. So essentially, it's like a little wriggle through the hips. All right. But think about how you can massage that sacral space, the very flat, bony part of your spine, down into the earth. So it's almost like a pelvic rock, or it might even become a slight circular motion of the hips around and around. And it can be so small and so subtle, perhaps it's barely visible to the outside eye. And we don't need to overcomplicate matters here. We don't need to overanalyze anything here. Just again, welcoming in this little bit of movement through that tricky hip space. And then maybe the movement gradually gets a little bit bigger. Maybe the knees start to sway side to side. Or there might even be a moment where you kind of rise the hips up to the sky into a little bridge pose, if you will. So there's options here. There's space for you to play and curiously explore within your practice. Explore how it feels to move through the lower body especially, okay? So again, the knees can drop one way, then the other. The hips can slowly roll up to the sky, and they can steadily roll all the way back down. It's going to be a few moments of this, okay? And again, see what each movement, or again, what each moment has to offer. That gentle sway of the knees from side to side, perhaps taking you into a gentle twist, wringing out the body here and there. And of course, that rise of the hips up to the sky, allowing us to open up more so across the front of the body, perhaps welcoming in that little bit of needed strength or heat through the back body. But of course, as you softly roll the hips back down, there's that massage of the spine back down to the earth. So again, just a few more moments, just exploring what's on offer. Okay, even if you're quite content to barely move at all, that is always an option here. And then just one more big breath in. And a final breath out. Okay. And then from here, we're going to slowly draw the thighs in towards the belly, the knees into the chest. And feel free to bring the arms in as well here, maybe just wrapping the arms around the shins, the kneecaps, or perhaps the backs of the thighs, whichever works, whichever makes the most sense. Little sways from side to side, and again, it's still like that free movement continues, kind of rolling up to the spine, further massaging out through the spine. And of course, maybe the spine has some sweet spots here this morning, so notice each individual vertebrae, even the spaces in between. Let's pour this awareness, this love, this acceptance into every teeny tiny part of you. Beautiful. Take another big breath in. Big breath out. And then maybe there's a moment where the arms can fall away, or the arms might even stretch up to the sky as the legs stretch up to the sky. And just start to explore that space up and above. Maybe there's a wriggle through the toes, a roll through the ankles, and of course the arms can reach up too, so maybe there's a wriggle through fingertips or roll out through the wrists. Nice. So straight up to the sky here. You can begin to cycle through the legs a little bit, and we're going to look at that in a little bit more closely in a moment or so. But for now, just a playful little wriggle. Nice. And then again, another steady breath in. Steady breath out. Beautiful. Okay. And then from here, let's bend back into both knees. You're going to keep the thighs in towards the belly, but you're only going to take hold of, let's take hold of the left leg to begin with, right? So left thigh stays in towards the belly, and right thigh too, but again, right thigh is a bit more, or right leg is a bit more free. Now as you draw this left thigh in towards the belly, you're going to start to extend and kick that right heel up to the sky. So again, that lengthening through those right hamstrings. And then keep kicking out to the heel as you slowly float that right leg down towards the ground. Keep the leg long, and then perhaps just before that right leg lands, you're going to bend back into the knee and draw it back in towards the belly. And keep that going through that same side. So again, we kick the heel to the sky, and then we slowly float it down. Beautiful. And just before it lands, we bring it back in. So again, this is that cycle motion just through that one side. The entire time that left leg is getting a nice big hug, and that right side is perhaps exploring more and more of this space up above. Beautiful. Okay, really well done. And it's just going to be a couple more. See how it feels to add in the breath. Maybe an inhale as you draw it in, and exhale as you kick it up. Beautiful. Nice. And then perhaps on your next round, so again, drawing the thigh in, Kicking the heel to the sky, and then this time, as you float the leg down, you can let it come all the way down towards the earth. Keep kicking the heel beyond the top of the mat as best as you can. Keep drawing that left thigh in towards the belly. So of course there's that slight difference between the two sides of the body, right side feeling long and that sense of expansion, and left leg perhaps feeling that compression, that little massage out to those hip flexors. More than welcome to start swaying or circling that left knee side to side or around and around. Beautiful. And perhaps again using this as an opportunity just to kind of free up the pelvis a little bit, free up the hip space a little bit. Perhaps it's these places that feel particularly kind of locked or blocked, or maybe it feels like we're gripping. So just seeing if we can take these reassuring little wriggles and softly release whatever it is we are desperately trying to grip and cling onto. Take another steady breath in. Steady breath out. Okay. And then that left knee is going to start to dive across the body over towards the right. That's going to take you into a spinal twist. Beautiful. Maybe that left arm now opens out wide to your left-hand side. Nice. Right arm can also open out wide if you wish it to. Beautiful. So again, a bit more of a ring it out to the spine here, and maybe this is precisely what's needed this morning. So feel free to really drop into it as best as you can. Nice. And it doesn't matter how far we go in this shape or in this twist, you are still very much in control. You can dictate your practice. You can choose what serves, what makes sense, and of course leave behind anything that simply doesn't. Okay. But perhaps here in this moment, in this wringing out the spine, continuing to release whatever it is that we've been desperately trying to grip and cling onto. And perhaps seeing the little hints or glimpses of the freedom, the freshness that you can welcome in when we release that need to cling and hold on so tightly. So again, let the body melt into the mat, melt into the earth. You're still so lovingly held here. So again, no need to hold yourself to a certain standard or expectation. Let yourself just be held. Okay. You're going to take another slow, steady drink of breath in. And that soft sigh out. Okay. And then of course, as you inhale, it's going to be that gradual unraveling. Seeing how steadily it feels to roll that left hip back down towards the earth. Nice. And of course, left thigh coming back in towards the belly, and then eventually that right thigh is going to come back in to join it. Beautiful. Maybe take hold of both knees for a moment, and again, another little rock or sway from side to side, or circling these round and around, up to you. Okay. And of course, taking that across to the other side, so it's now going to be both hands towards the right knee, towards the right leg. Okay. Flex into that left ankle, and you're going to start to kick that left heel to the sky. Beautiful. Send it straight on up, lengthening to the back of the leg as best as you can. And then again, you're going to softly float it all the way down. And just before that left leg lands, bend back into the knee, draw it back in towards you. Beautiful. And then you set the pace here, decide how slowly you'd like to move through this. And again, not being afraid to drag things out even more. Beautiful. You have so much time available to you here. So again, take up time. Not everything needs to meet a certain deadline or be completed in such a rush. Let's savor the slowness of everything here. Beautiful. Okay. Nice. And maybe it's just one more full round. Seeing if we can reach out through that heel just a little bit further each time, maybe. Okay. And then the next time you start to lower that left leg out ahead of you, of course, we're going to let that left heel come down towards the ground and take a slight pause there. So you're kicking that left heel beyond the top of the mat, but still really giving that right leg a nice big hug. So notice the length and space, notice the little bit of compression and massage at the same time. It's okay to have both. Maybe a slight sway or circular motion of that right knee, side to side or around and around. Getting into that hip space as much as you wish to. Maybe there's a difference between the two sides, and that's okay. Take another big breath in. Big breath out. Nice, and then from here, letting that right knee now dive across the body over towards your left-hand side into that spinal twist. Beautiful. Okay, maybe there's a few clicks or cracks or clunks here and there. There's signs of release, signs of the body starting to wake up more and more. Beautiful, and again, just continuing to release what no longer matters, what no longer serves. And in that, you're creating so much more space for newness to flood in. Beautiful. So again, let yourself arrive into the shape and just be there. Perhaps letting the breath do the majority of the work, seeing how the breath can travel to all these tiny spaces in between each rib, those intricate spaces at the very base of your spine maybe. But of course, breath travels throughout the entirety of you, clearing out the clutter, clearing out the summer dust, if you will. So again, let the breath do the majority of the work. Take another slow, steady drink of breath in. And of course, that big sigh out. Nice. And then gradually unraveling. Rolling that right hip back down to earth. Beautiful. And of course, let the hips level out, let the spine realign, making any little adjustments you might need to along the way. Beautiful. Maybe you again curl yourself back up into that little ball, giving both legs that nice big hug, that nice big squeeze. Beautiful. Maybe you again want to take a moment to stretch both arms, both legs up to the sky, up to you. Beautiful. You might even wish to take a full body stretch along the earth. So again, there's space, there's opportunity for you to move and wriggle in a way that just makes sense. Okay, nice. Take another big breath in. Big breath out. Okay. And then from here, just nice and easy, making sure, of course, we're being really nice and gentle with ourselves. You're just going to choose the side, the left or the right. Roll all the way over towards that one side and use your hands to help you to rise up to a comfortable seat. Beautiful. Okay, nice. Now, as we rise up to seat, we're actually going to bring ourselves to our butterfly, so our Baddha Konasana. Soles, feet together, letting the knees fall out wide. We're just going to take some time to give the feet a little bit of love, so of course nestle those sit bones in, soften those shoulders back and down, and then perhaps placing the hands towards the feet, and maybe now just giving the feet a bit of a squeeze. So as always, when we come into perhaps myofascial release or any kind of self-massage, it's really intuitive, all right? So there's no kind of specifics here, just give the feet a good old squeeze, all right? Okay. And then we might kind of work our way up into the legs a little bit more. So you might even come to the front of the ankle a little bit. And again, just that little squeeze over and over again. Maybe coming around to the back, giving the Achilles a little bit of a pinch maybe. Beautiful. Working our way to the back of the ankle, even to the back of the calf. And you can focus on one leg at a time. You might do both legs at the same time, up to you. But again, into the shins, into the calf muscle, and just that good squeeze. Beautifully well done. Okay, nice. And then of course gradually coming into the knees, tricky knees in the room maybe, so of course give those knees a little bit of love still. Nice, outside edge of the thighs. Beautiful, not shying away from the inner thighs here. Beautiful, okay. And if you fancy, you could even give your bum a little squeeze, go for it, I don't mind. Beautiful, really well done. Okay, take another big breath in. And that big breath out. Nice. Then of course you're going to gradually work your way all the way back down towards the feet. Okay, it's just a nice way to kind of wake up through the body and through the surface of your skin, through our own kind of healing, affirming touch. Okay, and then from here we're going to bring the thumbs in towards the arch of the feet, and you might even kind of run the thumbs up and down the arch of the feet a couple times. Beautiful. Maybe coming up into the balls of the feet, and maybe even coming up into the toes. Beautiful. Even those spaces in between. Okay, maybe the feet is a place that we typically want to avoid, all right? Of course, the feet are worthy of this attention too. Okay, nice, really well done. And we're going to focus on a little bit more myofascial release and a little bit more of a wake up to the legs as we go. But for now, just the feet, even those pinky toes, sometimes they get a little bit left out, all right? So give them some love. Okay, take another slow, steady breath in. Steady breath out. Beautiful. Okay, and then from here you can take hold of the feet, or you might take hold of the ankles here, up to you. You're going to have an inhale. You're actually going to tilt the pelvis forwards. You're going to rise up nice and tall, lift the chin up to the sky. It's like you want to draw your heart space out to the chest. And then as you exhale, you're going to rock slightly back off those sit bones, drop the chin towards the chest, and of course rounding through the back. So it's your butterfly variation of your cat-cow. We go again, that inhale to rise up, send the heart space forwards and up. And of course the exhale to drop the chin towards the chest and round to the back. Beautiful. And just keeping that going a couple times. You set the pace, so you decide how long you want to take to rise up. Let it last for the entirety of that inhale maybe. You decide how much time you want to take up on that rounding through the spine. Maybe let it last for the entirety of the exhale. Beautiful. And of course, notice the spaces that start to come alive, the parts of the body that start to speak to you a little bit more. Maybe there's a stretch across the chest, the collarbones, a freshness sweeping across the collarbones maybe. Or perhaps there's some tightness, some niggles through the upper back, that space between the shoulder blades perhaps. Again, notice what's here for you. And again, nothing really needs to change. We're just becoming more and more aware of our current experience, coming to understand our current experience more and more. And perhaps using that information, this felt sense intuition, as you move throughout the rest of your Sunday and of course into this new week, really understanding what it is you're feeling, rather than just kind of going through the motions blindly. Okay, we're going to have one more full round. So of course, one more inhale to rise up nice and tall. And then as you exhale, of course, coming into the rounding through the back, and just have a slight pause here, okay? And you might think about, whilst you're drawing the chin down towards the chest, a slight turn of the head from side to side, almost like a tick-tock side to side. You might even send kind of one shoulder further forwards than the other. Nice. And that might help us to wake up through the upper back just a little bit more. Beautiful. Take another big breath in. Big breath out. Nice. And then as you inhale, again, you're going to rise up nice and high, heart space forwards and up. And then as you exhale, you're going to start to hinge at the hips and pour it forwards. Now you could bring the elbows down to the inner crease of the knees to encourage the knees to sink a little bit further down towards the earth. But of course, it doesn't need to be that aggressive push down towards the earth. You might prefer to be really passive here. You might just let the elbows kind of tuck into the sides of the waist. You might even let them kind of glide in front of the shins, up to you, depending on how much space or how spacious you're feeling already. Feel free to, again, observe these different options and, again, tailor them to suit you in this moment. And let's really let go through the back of the neck. Let's let the head hang heavy. Let the shoulders slump forwards. Beautiful. And again, there could be a slight sway from side to side. We don't have to be completely stuck or still in these shapes. Let's welcome in that sense of ebb and flow. Beautiful. Encouraging us just to really ebb and flow through all things, whatever's at play, whatever's unfolding for you. Nice. Okay. Slow, steady breath in. Slow, steady breath out. Okay. And then keeping the head heavy as we gradually roll it all the way back up through the spine, stacking up bone by bone. Nice. And then head rises, take a little roll of those shoulders back and down, and then from here,